I don't think I'll ever get that smell out of my nostrils. That strange, sickly sweet, earthy scent. The kind that only comes from piles of decaying leaves. A few nights ago, I set out alone. I've been doing that more and more lately. Ever since my friend got me hooked on exploring forgotten places, nothing else has satisfied my curiosity. He told me about a house, about 20 minutes walk through the woods at the edge of town. He said it had an eerie atmosphere, that the night felt heavier around it, like the air itself was searching for something. As if a house could do that. He muttered something about abysses staring back when you look into them, but he always gets like that when he's smoked too much. Still, I couldn't shake the story. That night, I barely slept. I needed to see it for myself. Like a coroner searching for a cause of death, I had to examine every inch. The next evening, I headed into the forest. The cold fall breeze carried that faint, sweet smell of decay. Leaves crunched softly under my feet, and crickets chirped in chorus. These woods were one of the first places we explored, and they've always felt special. Now, the house seemed about the same size as that old spot. By the time I reached the clearing, rain was drumming on the forest floor. The damp earth filled the air. The house stood quietly, almost peaceful. I didn't get why my friend was so spooked. It looked like any other rundown, abandoned house swallowed by the woods. As I stepped into the clearing, my hair stood on end. The urge to see inside grew with every step. Moss clung to the walls, and the door's paint was cracked and peeling. When I opened it, it creaked softly, and my friend's words echoed in my mind. When you stare into an abyss, it stares back. Inside, it was pitch black. I turned on my phone's light, revealing dusty wooden floors and a staircase vanishing into the darkness. The floorboards creaked beneath me, highlighting the absence of all the usual forest sounds. Only the soft patter of rain remained. The stairs stood before me, almost inviting me up. The old varnished wood was dusty, with a faint shine in my light. They hadn't been used in ages. I had to see what was upstairs. With each step, the stairs groaned. At the top, a narrow hallway stretched ahead. A doorway at the edge of my light beckoned. Each step made the worn wood moan underfoot. The door groaned as I pushed it open. This room wasn't dark like the rest of the house. Moonlight filtered through a window, slipping past thin, tattered curtains. A bare mattress sat in the corner. Something about the light felt wrong. It had a faint yellow tint, like a moon from another world. I moved closer to the window. The floor stayed silent. Something was out there, at the edge of the clearing, watching me through the glass. I jumped back, almost tripping in the hallway. What the hell was that? It was too tall to be my friend, the only other person who spent this much time in the woods. In fact, it was taller than anyone I knew. I had to look again. Surely my eyes were playing tricks on me. It was still pretty dark outside. But they weren't. Two beady specks of silvery yellow light glowed at the clearing's edge, staring at the door I'd left unlocked. That strange light spread across the clearing, glinting off the rain and dew on the grass. I must have blinked, because suddenly those lights weren't at the tree line anymore, and the door to the house was closed. I stepped away from the window and back into the hallway's gloom. Then I heard the familiar creaking of the stairs. I quickly shut off my phone's light, ducked into the hallway, and pressed myself against the wall behind the open door. The creaking grew louder, turning into a groan as it moved down the hall. My heart hammered in my chest, almost as eager as I was to run. The smell of death, sickly sweet and sticky, washed over me as the sound reached the doorway. Decay. The door beside me shut silently. Behind it, there was only endless, invading darkness. I stood frozen, terrified of what might find me on the other side. Then I ran. I prayed the rotten floor wouldn't give way beneath me. My lungs burned by the time I reached the stairs, and I heard a loud bang, something smashing the door to that strange room. The creaking continued. Whatever it was chasing me. I almost fell going down the stairs. That sweet stench almost choked me as I burst out the door. I sprinted across the clearing and into the trees. The damp leaves didn't crunch underfoot anymore. I ran until my legs went numb and kept going. The cold night air bit at my face, and the soft rustle of leaves followed me, urging me to stop. Finally, I saw the edge of the woods. I've never been so glad my house is so far from town. Just a few 100 feet more, and I'd be safe. Away from the stench, the groaning floors, and whatever haunted that house. I slammed the back door behind me and collapsed. My legs gave out. As I gasped for breath, I leaned back against the door and looked straight up, right through the window of my back door. There it was. Those beady, silver-yellow eyes stared at me from hollow sockets. I locked the door quickly and stumbled to my feet, looking out again. It was gone. But that silvery light caught my eye. That strange, golden-tinged spectral glow. I turned to the window at the back of my house, which looked out over a small clearing and the woods beyond. The curtains were pulled back. There it stood, just outside the tree line, bathed in pale moonlight. It swayed in the breeze like the trees, nearly half their height. If those beady, sparkling lights hadn't stared down at me through the window, I'd have thought it was just another tree. But it wasn't. It was watching. I quickly shut the curtains and went to my room. I'm posting this from there. Even after a few days, I think it's still out there. I can still smell the rot. Every night, when I leave my window open, that sweet, earthy smell drifts in. There's a house in the woods, and I think I know who lives there now.